Welcome to Abridged, a podcast on everything Bracebridge, with your host, me, Mayor Rick Maloney.
Well, we're joined on the Abridged today by two very good friends of mine, Lynda Nicholson, so Kokomus Lynda Nicholson, and Elder Chris Stock. Welcome to Abridged.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's wonderful to have you both here. We have been friends for a long time and really welcome the opportunity to share a little bit about what some exciting things that are happening for us in our community. But before we get to that, Kokomus Nicholson, tell us a little bit about Lynda.
I am, I'll give you my usual introduction. So, Kwe, Lynda, Indishnikas, Pikwaknikon, Dinjaba, Brishbichnada, Makwendodam. So, what I'm saying is that I am from Pikwaknikon. My home is Bracebridge, and my clan is Bear Clan. And that is how I introduce myself because it's my family. I am a grandmother, a Kokomus, and I'm an author. And I'm someone who is heavily involved in the community, politically, and just for fun, and really, really bent on having us all work together in a really good way. I love our town.
And Rama First Nations, they have been is that your adopted?
Yeah, Rama, I have connections there.
Yeah.
They're my go-to because they're Ojibwe.
Yes.
And I'm Algonquin, so we're closely related.
Yeah, good,
Yeah.
good. Well, welcome. And Chris Stock, Chris, you have been involved in many things in our community, knowledge keeping and teaching. And tell us a little bit about Chris Stock.
Okay. I'll say wego. The Honadan Yumjets Tanona, what Anita Wagano Nexi, Bracebridge to Nogari. Wagatsanuni Wagunderhane. So what I said too is I greeted every one of you, and my Mohawk name is Tehona Dunha, and it's he's surrounded by the town. That's what it really translates to. Little did I know I'm actually wearing that name very well lately.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm from Mohawk territory, but I live in Bracebridge, and this is where I was born and raised.
So just on that, tell us a little bit about Indigenous people that live in urban communities, and what's that experience like? I know that there is a difference, I guess, or there is something that is a little bit different than living on Indigenous land in a organized territory. So tell us a little bit about that, Lynda.
For me, it's really being an urban Indigenous person means that you're disconnected from your community usually. So when that happens, you like to find people somehow in the town where you are that you can connect with. So we don't have that connection with the politics. We don't have that connection to our elders. We don't have the connection to our families. So it's a little bit of being a little bit lonely unless you can find someone. Um, so I think that's really the major difference is you're really removed from your culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's why the importance of Wata to me and Rama is that I have somewhere to go for that.
Yeah. Chris?
Growing up both off and then moved back to the community and then moved back off. Yeah, there is a lot of different challenges that you have to face, especially getting used to how the community works in terms of acceptance, but also it's hard to be that minority, like almost invisible. I know I experienced it all that way through high school.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we go into survival mode, so we blend in, right? But there's always like pieces missing, and so you have to try to find how you can find those little pieces that are still a part of you as an Indigenous person within the land that you're at. And that's what connects us all is the land.
Mm-hmm.
So doesn't matter whether you're living in Toronto or North Bay or way out in the bush. It's the land that connects you. It's the land that helps you to remind you of who you are and where you come from.
Mm-hmm.
The teachings will come to you when you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was always told.
And so that readiness happens at different stages in life, I'm imagine, right? Like, it's kind of like growing up. You I don't think the same as I did today as I did when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, right? So, uh, Lynda, maybe tell us a little bit. Was there anything that, I know that you were a victim of 60 Scoop, and, how did was that, was there something in your life that kind of said, I need to find more and move along that journey? Or was that something always that was in your life?
I didn't have it in my life. I mean, that was part of my disconnect. So for me, I always knew there was something. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know what it was. I went through various stages. I think I spoke about it at the opening. I thought I was Jewish at one time. Um, I honestly, I knew I was someone other than just this part that I had been exposed to,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't know what.
Mm-hmm.
So when I found, when they sent me on my way with my birth certificate, I found my birth family. And that's how I started to reconnect. And then I found out I'd always thought I was from way up north. Turns out I wasn't. I was from, Pikwakanagan, which is by Ottawa,
Mm-hmm.
about an hour and a half. So yeah, it's different for everybody. I knew all my life. We talk about we carry it in our blood, right? It's blood memory.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had that, but I didn't know what it was. And then when I became old enough to find and find people who could tell me what it was, then I started. That was when I started to sort of open up to learning more, and to learning more about the teachings. But no, you're not always ready.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes even when it's right in your face and you go up with it, you're not ready.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, you know when it's time for you, and it's different for everyone, like you said.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Chris, how about yourself?
Well, the way I can describe it is it's like searching for your identity.
Mm-hmm.
You were born in Canada, but where do you come from? And I'm sure you must have that feeling of emptiness and a calling, like something calling you to kind of explore. Okay, well, where did my people come from? Well, it's the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I have that on both sides of my family. So I get that from the Scottish side, from the English side, but then I also have the Mohawk side, and so it's just more about trying to figure out who you are and what makes sense to you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been my experience. And then over the years, like you say, we think differently. So
Thank goodness we think differently.
exactly, because that gives us a chance to change
Exactly.
our minds. And that's the beauty of it, is that, not everything belongs to us, but
Mm-hmm.
there are certain things that just feel right.
Mhm.
And it's a deep knowing.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you know you've made that true connection.
Mm-hmm.
And, uh, a lot of this was taken from us. So we're reclaiming what is our birthright, but at the same time, we've had a lot of outside influence that has
Mm-hmm.
affected what is ours and what is the true.
Yeah.
And so my connection with the Creator through my cancer journey is that he told me, he says, we got to go back to the original foundation, which was the original instruction given to us at creation. That's the Thanksgiving address.
Mm-hmm.
And then we build upon from there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of reclamation, is you got to filter a lot of this through a coffee filter and figure out what is real.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I don't know if any other groups of people actually realize that's what we have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if they do it when they go to a museum in Rom and see some of their ancestors and the way that they live. I don't know if they have that same connection.
Yeah, and I think the beauty of Indigenous culture is that you always have uh, the teachings that connect, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and those teachings are the kind of, if you want to call it, the nucleus of who you are and how you live, and that's the beauty of that I find myself is Indigenous culture, is that the teaching that, yeah, that's a no-brainer. Like the teaching just hits you like a sledgehammer sometimes in the middle of the head, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and it's designed that way as a reminder.
Yeah.
Because we have the ability to forget.
Yeah.
And all those teachings say, so there, even if there's one person who can remind us about that Thanksgiving address or about any of these teachings,
Yeah.
that's all we need.
Yeah.
And that's all it takes is to kickstart that.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, it was the late 1980s when that all started.
Yeah.
And then after 1990 with Oka, that's when it really hit home, and it became more important for us to start learning who we are.
Well, I appreciate that. I have known you, both of you, for a while, and enjoy our friendship, and know that your stories are one of great interest and inspiring in many respects. So I'm glad that you're able to share that with us. Let's talk about what's happening in our great community of Bracebridge coming up on the 28th and 29th of June, and it's Powwow version 2.
It is indeed.
And we're really, really excited about that. So Lynda, tell us a little bit about Powwow. What is a powwow?
So powwow really is a gathering. There are different versions of it. There's ceremonial, and then there's the social part. But for us, what we're doing is a traditional powwow. So it's just a gathering of all nations and all people to come together and celebrate life. In the day, it was a time when you found your partner because you made sure you weren't members of the same clan, right? So everybody was getting together.
So this is like
together,
this was a kind of a speed dating thing back in the early days.
Yeah. So yeah. But now it really is just a social time. It's a time, and it's a time to give thanks. It's a time, for me, it's a time to get grounded. I dance. I'm a traditional dancer, so for me, it speaks to my spirit. I hear that drum, and then I remember, yeah, there's all these parts of me. There's, the non-indigenous, the indigenous. There's the part that's been influenced by colonialism and Christianity. Then there's that other part, and that's the part where the flame comes out just a little bit brighter at those times. It's always there, but it's just sort of reawoken, I think is the word. So it's just a reminder. That's my reminder, Chris, what you were talking about. So every time I go, that's my reminder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's a calling, it's a gathering, it's a celebration in many respects. Powwow is ceremony, is it not?
It is.
Yeah.
But it isn't, right?
It depends on.
Explain that one.
Yeah, I guess it depends.
Well, my understanding of the powwow is that this gave us an opportunity to reconnect from the winter, and figure out who's new to the family, who did we lose, and then tell those stories and keep those stories alive. It gives you an opportunity to trace your lineage, reconnect with old friends that you maybe haven't seen in years. And I guess you could say the ceremonial part of it is that we start with the sunrise ceremony and greeting the sun in that way. Many of us have seen a sunrise, but to actually get there and watch it as it's rising and listening to those birds singing to the sun, and then actually giving that thanks directly to the sun. And having that experience. And that's what sets off the whole tone of the whole process of this weekend. And then we bless the river. And then this year, moving the speaker series back to the traditional fire, back to where it once was. That's where we would hear the stories, is around the fire. So in a way, we're bringing back a lot of the traditional ways of doing things, but we're doing it in a different way, and including everybody.
Yeah, which is why I say it's both ceremony and parts of it aren't ceremony. And we're a traditional powwow, and the difference being there are ones that are called competition powwows.
Yes.
And which is a totally different thing altogether. But that's not what we're doing.
Yes. Yeah. And so our powwow in Bracebridge, See Muskoka Through Our Eyes, which is the same theme that we had last year.
Yes.
And it's going to be a carrying on theme, Seeing Muskoka Through Our Eyes. That is on the 28th and 29th at Annie Williams Park. What's the significance of Annie Williams Park? And I guess more or less, the convergence of the South Branch, the North Branch, the Muskoka River. Chris, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the rivers were our highways, and we traveled over water more than we traveled over land, and for many reasons. And a lot of time we traveled more at night than we did during the day, and that's because the lakes would be calmer, the winds would die down, and you can use the stars to navigate. And everything was always done by memory. So whenever we came to a place, we had to memorize the shoreline as a silhouette. And then we had to memorize the shoreline during the daytime. So that was creating our map. So how we're able to find where we are going. But as you mentioned, the north and the south branch of the river, well, this is where all those families would come. They would stay for as many days as they needed, and then they would go off on their own direction to wherever they wanted to spend their summer. And then on the way back, they would stop here again and then do some trading. Maybe somebody had found more wild rice and somebody else found corn, and to help us get us through our winter. And then they would go to their respective places where they'd stay for the winter as well. So the river has a huge significance to it. And that's how we gathered. We did that in peace, love, unity, and harmony. And that's why we had those agreements, such as the one dish with one spoon treaty. We agreed we're not going to fight over territory anymore. We're going to recognize this is your land. However, we also have an agreement that we are going to be able to trade. And we trade for meat, and then we trade for with corn or whatever else that they might not have access to. And it's that reciprocal relationship, but there's a responsibility tied to that, is that we also are going to make sure that we look after it. Don't take more than we need. Always replace what we take, and make sure that nobody goes without, and nothing goes wasted.
The idea of the one spoon, one bowl, does that resonate like that? You could take that whole kind of concept and apply that to everything, right? That's how we build communities, how we our desire to support and help each other, right? That whole idea of one bowl, one spoon is really, really cool. I love that.
And I got a question for you, right?
Yeah.
So
I didn't know there was a test.
All right. So last year was the very first annual, and it was the very first time where at a powwow we invited the leaders of the surrounding communities to take part in grand entry. How was your experience?
Oh, I tell you, that is the most powerful thing that you can ever experience. When you have the drumming, joining the dancers, and we'll talk about the dancers in a second, but the beautiful costume and regalia. It's not even costume. Yeah, I apologize on that. It's regalia. The regalia that they wear and the colors and just the energy and the power. It's actually a spiritual experience in many respects. And to do that with brother and sister is absolutely remarkable. And I'm glad you asked the question, because it's something that will always stay with me for sure. And I'm looking forward to the powwow coming up in the end of June as well, to have that another experience. And I'm sure it'll be a different experience, but it'll be another experience, right? And so on that though, I did, and I apologize for saying what I did. It's regalia, and I'm glad that you pointed that out. Tell us about the dancers and the drummers. And you said that this is not a competition, but the dancers and drummers that are showing up are competition worthy. Like they are very, very, very good. So tell us a little bit about that, Lynda.
We have amazing singers coming this year. I'm just going to mention them because they need to be recognized. We have, last year we had Whitetail Cree. I don't remember, they were our host drum. So they came. They're coming again this year. And Spirit Wolf was here last year. They're coming again. They loved our powwow. And they were really happy to be invited again this year. High Tide is coming for the first time. These are younger people. and Dancing Bear. And so we have a good mixture of the older ones and the younger ones coming in. So the younger singers, they learn from the older ones. So it's just a really good mix. Um,
It's also kind of like being on the same stage as, say, Brian Adams or
yeah,
even David
Exactly.
Wilcox and
Yeah.
playing alongside with them.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so they really set the tone for a powwow. They keep the you'll notice, I don't know if you notice, but there's always a drum that's going, so they take turns singing. And you'll sometimes see people make requests. They'll offer tobacco to a specific drum that's touched their heart for whatever reason, and they may ask them to sing a song for whatever, not necessarily an honor song. That's a whole different thing, but just they've just really touched their heart. They've made their spirit soar, and so then they'll play an extra song for them. So they're literally the heartbeat of the powwow.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about what someone will see when they come to the powwow, either on the 20th or the 29th, or both days. We encourage people to come for both days.
Hmm.
There's a lot more than the center focus is the circle and the dancing and music, but there's other things that are going on. And you talked about the fire, but also I know there's some food.
Oh yeah. So
So tell us a little bit.
we have some really good food vendors this year that are coming. I'm actually not sure of who they all are, but we do have them, and we have the vendors who are indigenous vendors who are selling what they make. That's always an amazing experience just to walk around and see what there is. What else do we have? We have speakers coming that are doing teachings. We have uh, even in the circle itself, they do demonstrations and they explain what the different dances are and what they mean. And I
Hmm.
won't go through all of them, but like traditional men's, traditional females. This year we're really, really lucky to have smoke dancers. And smoke dancers are hopping great fun.
Oh,
They
I
yes.
heard
just
I
their
heard that
feet speed.
they're the feature, a
Yeah,
feature, right? The
they
smoke
are.
Yes.
dancers. Yeah.
They are. They're amazing.
Yes, and this year we have a special feature with the Smoke Dancer troupe from Six Nations, and they'll be doing a 1 hour teaching about the history of it, and they'll show it, they'll demonstrate it, and the beauty of this powwow that we brought together is that this gives you an opportunity to try it.
Hmm.
It's your turn,
Hmm.
and be a part of that and experience that, and uh, there's no right way or wrong way. We're all born with a beat. We're all born with a song. We're all born with a dance, and it's just however you feel moved to move your body to the beat of the drum. And when you think about it, that drum is the first sound that we hear uh, upon conception. Is It's the heartbeat of our mother. That's
Hmm.
why it's so familiar when
Hmm.
everybody comes to the drum. They go, "Oh, this feels so amazing and welcoming." And it's because that's the heartbeat of our mother.
I can tell you that both of you have far better rhythm than I do because I've seen you both dance, and I struggle. But I guess, as you say, Chris, it's not a struggle. It's how I'm interpreting that, right?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
cool. That's cool.
Exactly.
And you'll see me sit and watch on this one, Rick, because I don't smoke dance because it's really fast. And my feet just get all tangled up. And so I'd rather watch
Yeah.
than do it. It's a lot of fun.
And also after the dinner break, so grand entry will be at 12:30. Roll calls at 12. That's when they line everybody up
Yeah.
for grand entry, and it will go to 5:30. Then there'll be a dinner break, and then from 6:30 until dark, we're going to offer Iroquois social dance time,
Oh.
which is totally different style of
Mhm.
dancing, totally different way of telling stories as well. And that's open to everybody as well. And then we hope that everybody comes out and takes part in that social,
Mhm.
because this gives you the opportunity to see the both worlds and the two different ways of how we celebrate our relationship with nature.
Yeah. So we're running close to the end of our time, but just to kind of recap, 28th, 29th of June, Annie Williams Park.
Mhm.
Uh, activities and events start, is there any particular start time, Chris, or I know the grand entry is around 12:30 or so. Um,
Well, anybody who's interested in being a part of sunrise ceremony, that'll take place about 5:30 in the morning.
mhm.
Saturday morning.
Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then followed by the water blessing. And then speaker series will be held at the campfire. And that's where you'll hear firsthand knowledge directly from the speakers. And that's the way that it used to be,
Mhm.
is that we sat around the fire and listened to
Yeah.
these stories. Sunday, everything will start with the speaker series at 8.
Great, great. So I would just encouraging folks that are listening or watching, if you've never experienced a powwow, this is your opportunity. If you've experienced it, you know exactly what we're talking about. They are moving, they're powerful, they're enjoyable, they're connecting. It's all about community. I thank both you, Lynda and Chris, for coming in and sharing about the powwow, and I look forward to a very successful powwow, as successful or more successful than the one we had last year. So thanks both of you for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
That's a wrap on this episode of Abridged. Thanks to my guests for taking the time to join me today. This podcast was produced in the Dr. Ted Joe recording studio at the Colson Family Bracebridge Library. Thanks for listening, and be sure to join me on our next episode where we talk everything Bracebridge.